were approached in about 2005 by Partners in Health, who had that year had gone to Rwanda in a major way and had taken over one of the quadrants of the country, and which had been devastated by the genocide and really had no healthcare infrastructure left. And they took a old barracks and turned it into a hospital, and they for about 400,000 people, and they had clinics in that area that were supported by this hospital, and they began to identify that heart disease was a major, about 30% of the hospitalizations were for heart disease, and most of that was rheumatic heart disease. They were finding young adolescents and young adults who were totally disabled by this, who couldn't go to school, who couldn't support their families, and asked us if we would consider coming over there and performing surgery on as many of these patients as we could to try and restore them to a more productive role in society.
Our primary mission is to establish, with the Rwanda team, a sustainable, comprehensive program to address cardiac diseases. Primary to that is rheumatic heart disease.
The strategy is twofold. The strategy is to presently operate on as many people as you can reasonably operate on to cure the people that have the results of rheumatic heart disease, mostly defective valves. But that's not going to solve the problem, because that doesn't stop new people growing up with rheumatic heart disease. You have to stop the problem at its cause, which is the rheumatic disease in the first place. And that comes basically from strep throat.
What we really wanted to do was leave a lasting impact. So we approached this from the beginning from the perspective of trying to determine the prevalence and incidence of rheumatic fever in the country, so that the government would have some idea what resources are going to be necessary to address this problem, to prevent it, so to give penicillin to people with strep throat so they never get rheumatic heart disease, and eventually also to train Rwandan nurses and physicians and other health personnel so that we could leave behind a sustaining cardiac surgery center.
In the spring of this year, we expect to take a team of individuals that are experts at echocardiograms to do a screening program of school-age children between the age of 7 and 15. Those that have changes will be put into a database, a registry, to follow and to have penicillin be administered on a regular basis to prevent progression of disease. Those that are significantly ill, that only cardiac surgery will be the treatment, will go into the national patient list so that they can have surgery as one of the teams comes into Kigali. We take a team of about 32 to 34 volunteers from cardiac surgeons, anesthesiologists, cardiologists, perfusionists, ICU nurses, and step-down nurses to provide care for 15 to 20 individuals.
We started educating them right off the bat. Our nurses work side by side with the Rwandan nurses to get them in there, participate in the care of the patients, and then when we leave and transfer the patients back to the care of the Rwandans, they have to take over. So of necessity, to some degree, we've started right from the start in trying to not only give care, but also educate the local caregivers.
My name is Rugwizangoga, and I'm from Rwanda. I work as a nurse at Brigham Women's Hospital, and I'm part of Team Heart. I go to Rwanda every year with Team Heart, and I work as a nurse there, but I also work as a translator.
Very early, she looked at it from a different way that I did. And I felt like that her viewpoint was so valuable, and that everybody that worked with Team Heart should know her.
The idea of being a nurse really started a long time ago when I was young. It started after the genocide. I was probably about either 13 when the genocide happened. And I was very young, but I volunteered at a local, it was kind of clinic in a refugee camp, and I volunteered as a nurse's aide. So from there, I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to, contribute to saving lives, and I know that I wanted to go to school.
Jadea, who you just spoke with, and one of the nurses that works with me at the Brigham, the first year put together a book in native Rwandan language, in Kinyarwandan language, for the patients to explain to them what they were going to be going through and what heart surgery is all about, and what they and their families needed to know about the surgery and their recovery and everything. I think our biggest challenge right now is sustainability of our program. I mean, with the economy being difficult now, fundraising we found has been increasingly challenging.
This is a project where you can see the end, and you can literally see the end in one generation.
My hope for the future is to leave a lasting impact by creating a cardiac surgery center in Rwanda that will help Rwandans and hopefully people around Rwanda and in other countries too, and also to hopefully eradicate this rheumatic heart disease, because it is a preventable disease.
I hope that Rwanda realizes that this is something that will benefit their country, and that this population of people that are marginalized at this time because of their illness will return to be an incredible asset to their country.
We would like to leave Rwanda and the treatment of heart disease there better than we found it, and be able to leave at some point and say, this work will continue, and it will continue in a quality manner for the people of Rwanda and hopefully for surrounding countries, because they deserve that, and that really would be what we would hope our legacy would be.